one particular time, I was the executive officer, which is second in command aboard a ship, and the TWA Flight 800 busted, blew up. They're not really sure exactly what happened, but we got called to go there. And when we did that, we had to use the vessel, and we were surveying the ocean floor, and we were able to find all the, a lot of the wreckage. And no one survived from that, which is a very sad aspect of it.
So how does that look like? Is it, so in real time, there's this craft, for some reason, something goes wrong with the craft, it goes to the ocean, and then NOAA gets called. It's like, oh, we need to find it first, right? Because I imagine there's not really a known location. It's like you can kind of predict where it is, but there's some area where you think it might be, and you just like go try and find it and try to salvage people, I guess. What does it mean?
So our mission was to locate it, everything under, and then they called the Navy in to actually do the salvaging of the different parts. So there's, a row of seats in one spot. There was the fuselage. There's all the different things that wasn't floating on the surface because there was a lot of debris on the surface. The rest of it was down on the bottom. And of course, I don't know if they've, recovered any of the bodies. I'm only assuming that they did because I was not involved in the diving aspect of it.
Okay.
But I was being a temporary commanding officer on that project because the commanding officer was actually ashore and in a command center. So then I was just in charge of the ship with surveying and locating and
so what is it, like some big ship in the surface that has some type of sonar, right? Some sensing device that can figure out that signal that you get from the aircraft, like maybe like some specific return from this sonar.
Right, there's different types, and on the ship we were on, we were actually doing side scan sonar.
Okay.
So we were towing a sonar.
Okay.
And then it sends out, and what we get back, we'll see shadows, and we know, or we'll see a good definition in there, and we know that has some height to it depending on the shadow.
Yeah. So it's funny. I've worked a little bit with side scan sonar, so it is really like some type of, you could think of it as like some scanning thing, or that is almost like a picture, right? Because you're getting at the end like a slice of a picture, and then when you move, you're getting like the picture underwater, like the object. It's pretty cool. And so that's what you did to find the wreckage. Okay.
So luckily we found the wreckage, and like I said, the Navy was able to come and pick it up.
That's pretty amazing. And there's another wreckage, not modern wreckage, but I have here that you were chosen for the NOAA Monitor Archaeological Research and Structural Survey Mars Expedition. So it's a Civil War ship that you have to, or what was the story of the ship? Why were you called in, and why did you do in that project? What was your role?
Right. So the ship, the USS Monitor, was an ironclad vessel. And the Merrimack was another ironclad vessel. And
what is an ironclad?
So the surface of it is covered in iron.
Okay, so like a normal boat.
Right. So, well, back then, boats were wooden.
Right.
So this was an ironclad, and so they would have better protection when they're fighting surface-to-surface type of stuff. You shoot a cannon, you're going to poke a hole in a wooden ship, and it might bounce off of the
And this is pretty interesting. This is like 1862 I have here. So this is like Civil War time.
Yes.
Probably what would be more similar of what people can think of is like pirate ships kind of a thing. Right? You have some wooden boat with some iron structure, you were saying, and then you literally fire cannons between each other, like pirates maybe. Is there some similarity between those?
Yeah,
two?
so the battle between those two, yes, they couldn't sink each other.
Right.
You know, and it was just so when the monitor went down, it was actually being towed so it sank off in North Carolina, and it was being towed north to try and take it back to get some repairs done to it.
Okay.
And it got caught in a storm.
Oh.
It had a turret on the top of it, and the turret is just completely going around so that they can shoot, you know, their guns.
Oh, interesting.
So it would go around, but when the ships start to go down and stuff, it would take on some water, and then that turret ended up falling off, and the ship sank. And then in the end, the ship was like upside down, and the turret was right on it and next to it. So it was kind of wild.
So did you have to go down there and see it?
Yes, we took a submarine.
Okay. Oh, right. Yeah, I'll put the picture somewhere because the picture is super cool of the submarine. Right? It's kind of like I don't know how you describe it. It's like a spaceship, right? It looks like it's like this circular thing that has robotic arms that people will call them, right? Like that you can control and you can grab stuff. Yeah, I think probably people have seen them in the movies, right? But
right, yeah, it's just a big round, thick plexiglass on there. So when you're in there and you're looking out, we're moving along. The pilot will go, and he was so good. His name was Don Liberatore. He was a really good sub pilot. He can go right up, which I'm looking at. I'm like, oh, he's going to hit it. But that plexiglass really affects your distance.
Yes,
you know, things look a lot closer than they actually are.
Okay.
But he was able to, like a hairband, so it was bigger than this, but he was able to go out with that arm, pick it up, and then opened up one of the little containers for sampling and drop it in there. And I was amazed by that. It was like, wow.
Okay, that's pretty good. So what was the mission in there?
Yes, the mission.
Just, like, recover pieces of the craft and like put them in some tiny compartment?
No, not on this. So the monitor had been down a long time. And so we were doing a structural survey. Okay. And that was to see how the structure was physically, and do we need to do anything about it? Is it just deteriorating and pile of rust or what? So we get down there, and the goal was to go up to it. We had, we went down in an open diving bell, and we had umbilicals all the way to the surface. I can tell many, many stories on this one because it's fraught with problems. The weather off North Carolina around Hatteras is really bad. And so we would go down in this open bell, and then you'd step off the bell and then go the rest of the way. It was I've already forgotten how deep it was.
Right, I have it here. 235 deep.
Yeah, 235 feet depth. So you go down there, and then you can't swim because of everything.
There.
Yeah, so you go down, and we actually were wearing big boots instead of fins, and we're walking.
Oh,
on
so
the bottom.
You went with the submarine, and then you came out of the submarine?
Nope, those two different things. Okay. We're in what's called an open diving bell. Okay. So it's open so that you can just go out of it. And it's got gas lines right there in case you need to breathe something different. But our umbilicals came from the surface, and it was on the actual bell, so that we can get all the way down. And so it was like...
Is the bell like a pocket of air?
The bell does have a pocket of air. So if you stand up, you can take your mask off and talk or breathe it. But also, it was like an elevator for us.
Okay, so it's like a line from the surface that it goes down, it has the bell, and then you go down, you yourself maybe like going down, like diving or something like that?
No, so going down, we're just riding it.
Okay.
It was maybe 6 feet in height, maybe a little bit bigger than that, and kind of big around with posts, and then a hard mesh floor, and then the top of it was enclosed again so that it would trap air.
Okay.
And so we're just taking a ride, just like you do in an elevator.
Okay.
It goes down to wherever it is supposed to go,
okay,
and then it stops, and then you get off.
Uh-huh.
Okay, then you would walk.
Okay.
The submarine was to take all the video of the structure.
Okay.
To see how things are and see where everything's laid out.
Mm-hmm.
So there were two different parts of the mission.
Mm-hmm.
And the divers were to go down there and they were to get a better close-up, can see what the condition and the structural survey, structure was. But we only made it to the bottom a few times because we had lots and lots of issues with that. Back then, in 1993, diving trimix was not really done except like in the Navy and stuff. So
what is trimix?
Trimix is the, as we go deeper, the nitrogen starts increasing.
As we discussed.
Okay.
Right?
And the partial pressure of oxygen is in there. It's increasing, but we can only have so much percentage of oxygen before it can become toxic. So if we're at 21, so it's 0.21 on the surface, and you go down that deep, you just times, it's just how much more is that. So I'd have to calculate it out for you, how many atmospheres you're at.
Right,
so,
it's just a lot of pressure.
Right, so
literally pushing everything in your...
That part is... Our body is pretty much lots of fluid and stuff, so that doesn't affect you. It's the gases that you're breathing. Oxygen becomes toxic because the percentage of oxygen is increasing.
Okay, so like the pressure literally pushes oxygen kind of be together.
It's so in the breathing mix that you're breathing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So in order to eliminate some of the nitrogen and oxygen, they put helium in it, which is just an inert gas that our body doesn't use either. Right.
Did you talk funny when you were down there?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
So we had communications with the divers below, and so yes, they sound like this, So it was quite charming and humorous up on the surface to listen to them.
I imagine.
Mm-hmm.